Alright, this game is starting. Looks like the Marines are going to be splitting off. They want to try and get some good control as soon as possible. The aliens seem to be mostly focused in the south portion of the map right now. This Skulk jumped out from behind that box, so using the a lot of the environments is key because at the beginning it's easy to kind of run into a bunch of Marines who are using a whole long corridor to kill you, so it's very important to try and sneak around and basically flank your enemy.
And right now each team just trying to get the advantage on the other opposition side by taking out their early life forms, stopping initial pushes and aggressive moves, just trying to level up, get some more experience points to put into purchases they may make in their upgrade trees. Now we'll talk about a little bit about those upgrade trees as the game progresses, but right now the early game portions of the game are a scramble to get as many kills as you can to get to start to play the game the way you want to play it.
Some fine dodging by one of the Marines there. He was using the door because he was aware of the aliens being up top there. So he's being cautious and he's biding his time, and it won out. Now, in one of these rooms here, it's called EDS system, the lights got turned off because the aliens were able to destroy this structure on the wall that's pulsating. It's called a power node. The power node will shut down the access to the power in the room, and it will shut off the lights, giving aliens a temporary advantage. You know, of course they take advantage of it. But obviously, as you can see, that the Marines have flashlights, so the flashlight is only going to illuminate, you know, a cone in front of the Marine player, and not the whole room. So it's certainly harder in that respect.
So once a team member dies, they will quickly respawn under the protection of what might look to some as Umbra or Nano Shield, depending on your team, but is there to essentially let other players know that the respawning player is under spawn protection. So you'll have a predetermined respawn time based on the upgrades that you have. If you have more upgrades and better upgrades, your respawn time might be longer, and vice versa. So when assaulting bases, you've got to be wary of enemy teammates spawning around you. So like you just saw then, the aliens were all up in the Marine base trying to take down the chair, but were unsuccessful in doing so because the respawning Marines just eventually will overwhelm those aliens.
Naturally, players will gravitate to where there's more action, so it kind of balances itself out unless, you know, they're completely disregarding where threats are. But looking at the situation, you know, there was a lot of Marines over by the alien base, but now we can see that there's a Gorge who set up his Gorge tunnel adjacent to the Marine base. So now the Marines need to worry about this potential weakness in the defense. So it does kind of play a little bit of ground control, you know, so that you can travel along the map and only worry about certain areas. So there is very light strategy in the game. You know, strategy in the, you know, in the respect that you know, if you take advantage of it, you can really control where the enemy will be. But not so much strategy as in regular natural selection 2, where you know, one misstep will cost your team the entire game.
Now around this Gorge tunnel, you can see the Gorge using different abilities to defend its position. The Gorge is building structures like clogs, defensive items such as whips, and maybe even we'll see a couple of Hydras. Yeah, he's starting to build them up now. And these will contribute to a point defense like mechanic in the game that the Gorge has as its primary function. These Marines are going to have to work hard and use features like their grenades or even shotguns, flamethrowers, anything at their disposal really, to try and push the aliens out of their camp that the Gorge has set up.
As one of the streamers was saying, it's like it's good to see that the Hive camp is still real. Well, anything is, you know, that is still legitimate strategy, you know, to try and lock the players in their base. But eventually, naturally, the Marines will get overwhelmed, and they did, right? So now it's a question, like, is the Marines really winning? Well, I guess technically, statistically, their Marines are actually losing because their command chair now took damage and the aliens are holding up a forward position, whereas the Marines do not have such luxuries. So, you know, all is fair in love and war, after all.
And you guys may be wondering about the difference in the structure placements, and a couple of you guys in chat have been talking about that. NS2 combat without the commander features, especially for the aliens, doesn't rely on infestation or assists. So players building up their hydras, gorge tunnels and whips need not worry about the implications of building it on and off infestation. And now whips can even be placed on walls to just add that awesome level you might have just seen there of comedy when a whip will take a Marine's head off coming around the corner, pretty much.
There's also one other thing, one big thing I'd like to highlight. In NS2 combat, they have achieved the ability for mappers to build weldable doors and vents. This has been a hugely requested feature of regular NS2, and that simply never happened. But it is available in NS2 combat. So what this does is, at first they will be closed, and then you know, no team can go through, but later on you can open it up to create a little bit of dynamic map. You know, it opens up a path for both teams, right? So it can keep your team on their toes if one team takes advantage of it and the other doesn't. There's bad advantages to keeping closed, there's advantages to opening it up. So it's up to your team to kind of figure out what works. This gorge has really been doing, wow, 3 whips?
Yeah, there are 3 gorges down there now.
Yeah. It's doing well. It's holding the entire area. Now, right now,
While
they're just keeping them out, right? But later on, it could become very strong. You can see the Marines.
And right now, the gorges themselves may have that area locked down really well. But if you see, the rest of the Marine team has gone and just ignored that fortified gorge position and has moved out into the center of the map, communications. If one of these guys decides to put up a phase gate in that location, and you can see them now trying to build up the power to sort of start that process, then they will completely bypass that gorge tunnel and defendable location the aliens are holding down. And that will really open up a whole different element to the game to come. Yeah, right now we're seeing our first alien life form, other than a gorge, the Fade, you might have just seen there in the center of the map. The Fade is similar to the Natural Selection 2 version of the Fade. Of course, balancing will be different because it is essentially a different game type and game. But your regular mechanics of the Fade will still be there as you know and love them. So you can play as all as your favorite life forms from Natural Selection and Natural Selection 2.
And obviously the ability to just switch between life forms on a whim allows it to, you know, for you as a player to adapt to the to the given situation at a moment's notice. So maybe Fate is not working out for you, so then you can just, well, if you got enough points, you can just straight up switch to an Onos or a Lurk or something like that. And that's something that regular NS2 can't really provide you without a large amount of sacrifice.
Yeah, oftentimes players will complain a little bit in NS2 that they can't learn those higher life forms. Every time they die, their higher life form status will be stripped and they'll be forced to wait for the resources to flow back in. In NS2 combat, you're free to play as any life form you wish as soon as you get the upgrade points. They'll never be taken away from you unless you decide to refund too many times, in which case you might lose a few points. But certainly nothing to make you worried about not being able to play your favorite life forms.
Yeah. And this also is a nice little segue. Like, if you play combat a lot, you can develop the meta skills necessary to become quite good in regular NS2 if you ever decide to you know, play a much deeper game. Like, you know, okay, there's actually a nice little assault going on the Hive here in Shaft 10. The Fate is just bumping in and trying to get a little bit of swipes, and the gorges are, you actually notice they're using a variety of abilities ranging from Bio Bomb, which will strip some of the armor off of the Marine players, and also using a Babbler Bomb, which, you know, in itself can be kind of like a little bit of a decoy and can be kind of irritating with all these little small critters all over the place.
And you can see now that while the huge amount of gorges at the start of the game might have been really beneficial in holding down subdeck and that general location. The aliens are now being pushed back to their hive, and if they want to stay ahead in this game, they're going to have to sacrifice a couple of those gorges for the greater good and start becoming much more improved life forms, such as Onos, or even more Fades could be useful here.
Yeah, it's not about, you know, oh, this is my life form and I'm gonna be it permanently. It's about your ability to adapt, to evolve, and you know, bring the right tool for the right situation. Right now, as Chewy mentioned, there appears to be a lot of Gorge players, which are support players, and you know, it's not necessarily bad, just so long as whatever you're using works. Well, finally, we got an Onos in play. So
yeah, here we go.
we're going to see some real strong power plays coming from the alien side. I've yet to see an Exosuit from the Marine side, but I'm sure it'll come soon as somebody can afford it.
And here, you know, having a whole bunch of gorges might not be such a bad thing. They can all keep that Onos healed up, providing they can get closer to it. Fortunately, the Onos was dominated there. The Marines are suffering as a result of taking it down, suffering casualties, and separating from one another that might be detrimental to their survival and their ability to push on into the hive in a moment. But there we go, the first Exo's up. I'll let you cover the Exo.
So the Exosuit is almost a formidable adversary to the Onos. You know, reserving your thoughts about what the Exo is like in regular NS2, the combat NS2 Exosuit can only have one weapon. There's no dual version. So you'd be like, well, what's the point in that? As a trade-off, the Marines can upgrade their weapons up to 5 times instead of just 3, so making the weapons devastating. Not only that, the armor value can be upgraded to well beyond the regular NS2 variant. And you can also upgrade an ability to auto repair your armor. All that combined, an Exosuit taking advantage of a very long hallway or something like that can be just as deadly. It actually does retain the status of, you know, pretty deadly for where it should be. And hopefully...
And guys, how awesome is it to have useful Exos again? I can't believe it.
Indeed.
It's been so long.
Well, it's not only
right now we are seeing a Gorge tunnel get taken down there. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. Carry on.
It's not only that though, like because the nature of combat is for you just jump in it and play. If you lose you don't have to worry about losing your Exosuit as much, right? Because one of the problems is most people invested all the resources in getting an Exosuit before, and oh, I don't want to lose it because I spent so much money, and now that whole equation is kind of out of the equation.
Out of the mix, I guess. Yeah.
So, oh wow, Locke still survived. He's upgraded to a minigun, making his weapon quite deadly. You can see that his armor is actually both being damaged, but partially auto-repaired. Unfortunately, he did get overwhelmed by yet another Onos.
Yeah, you can see that Exos are able to square off against Exos now, something that regular NS2 selection might have had a little bit of trouble with back in the day. But each team is able to reset and go again as soon as they respawn. There is a little bit of a spawn delay based on your upgrade path and your life form. But as soon as that is resolved, you're able to get back to crushing like you always have. We have a second Onos on the field now, right there in the center of the map, coming out of communications. Might even see the phase gate go down here if the Exo is inattentive. Ah, here we go. Yeah, it looks like the... Oh no, it looks like more Marines will pour out of that phase gate, killing one Onos, and the Exo is able to go on its own little rampage center of the map.
Oh, the phase gate finally goes down. Now, you can probably see here that in the center of the map we have another Marine building a new phase gate, and that's perfect timing. You Marines want to be able to stay mobile, but the same goes for the aliens. If they can get their if they can get their gorge channels situated, then they can keep the Marines off balance.
Yeah, it looks like right now the Marines are starting to be a bit more conservative in where they put their phase gates. The offensive phase gate you just saw down there in Shaft 10 might have been a bit far away from the base, but now having this phase gate here in communications forces the Onos to come to the Marines, and look how much damage that Onos took before being forced to retreat. I don't even think he did much damage at all to the Marine forces.
It looks like
Would you look at this? A gorge tunnel's been set up right beside it, so that creates an interesting situation.
Poor guy blows himself up, but he does manage to get the tunnel, so it's yeah, that's also another thing. It allows you to combat because there's very little risk. You can play as aggressively and as ridiculous as you want. You know, you don't have to worry as much. Just play, just enjoy.
It looks like the game will be drawing to a close within the next 5 minutes, and teams are starting to feel that pressure. We have the Marines mounting off a huge assault onto the alien hive, and as we've said, the aliens have got a few too many gorges for my personal liking, and now they have they're going to really struggle when assaulting the Marine base if they want to have a chance of winning this game. They need to start making a sneaky gorge tunnel, perhaps using what they have to their advantage, because at this point in the game, to radically change what you're trying to do, it takes a lot of intelligent players, I guess.
Right now we're seeing a very defensive playstyle coming from the aliens. I guess they kind of have to. They're getting kind of overwhelmed, but they do have two Onoses and a Fade. They're trying to take out this phase gate here in EDS system, so you know, it's about, you know, balancing small goals for larger gain, and now that they've taken that out, they can focus their attention on that other phase gate over there. But it did create a little yeah. This exosuit, as you can kind of, well, you could argue that was probably not the most balanced battle.
Yeah, it was a little bit one-sided, favoring the Marines. They had a lot of bodies behind that owner, so it didn't shoot it down.
All the more reason to group up. Oh, actually, do you see this? The aliens have built a gorge tunnel. That's exactly what they need to do. Now they have
I called this. I called it.
There you go. It's about out-positioning, and oh my god, if the Marines can, or if the aliens, oh, that guy got tossed. If they can take out the phase gate, that will lock the Marine team back in the alien base. It's a little tricky. Or it's a little bit risky,
meanwhile,
but you can...
Meanwhile, the Gorge is working on the command chair, so even if the Onus was to fail it in his endeavor at taking out that phase gate, the Marines have to deal a significant portion of damage, because at the end of the game, it's whoever has done the most amount of damage to that command chair will have an easier time finishing the game. Of course, it's the first command station to pop, essentially.
Oh, they haven't...
Each team...
They started to repair. Both Hive and Command Chair or Command Center are about 50% health, so this game is very close. Unfortunately, we're not seeing another attempt on the Marine base coming from the aliens. I feel like if they could keep that tunnel up, they could totally turn this game around.
Looks like they have expelled the Marines from their base using 3 O9 now. It has been going on so long that players are starting to reach max level and are starting to get the most out of their life forms. Now that's not to say that you'll reach max level every game like you would say in perhaps the original mod version of NS2 Combat. But with games going on this long, it's fair to say a lot of players in each team will be reaching that point where they can utilize every ability they see fit.
Here's also another benefit of combat. Like, a lot of people say that they can't commit, 20 some minutes, or up to an hour for regular NS2.
Yeah.
Because of the overtime and what rules and stuff like that in combat, there is a definite end to when a combat round will end. Unless both chairs haven't received damage post overtime, but really all that takes is one bullet on the Hive. So the game, because of how the players are scaling, it's supposed to snowball to the point where it will end, and that way you can kind of guarantee that the game will end in a satisfying what's the word I'm looking for? Finale? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I know, you'll never come away from a game of NS2 combat feeling like you haven't accomplished something. I mean, you'll always enjoy your experience, because I guess it's a little bit more laid back than the regular NS2. There's not as much there's not as much of a high level of thinking, high levels of tactics in play. There's not as much reliance on your teammates to carry out those tactics, and you won't be stressing and worrying about that. So if you just want to have some fun, kill a 20 minutes, then definitely this is the game for you. Right now the Marines are pushing ahead into the alien hive. We are having really no good opposition from the alien team. They've got one Gorge there trying to make his way past Gisp to bile the phase gate down, but really that's the extent of the alien offensive, as the Marines are just closing in around that hive.
The clock is starting to get closer here as we approach overtime.
Here we go.
I'm trying to figure out what the clock is. There's 4 minutes left on the clock until overtime. So either this hive
But look at this.
due to the assault. Oh wait, there's several houses. Oh, the Marines are
several others, and a Gorge tunnel right outside Marine base. Combine this with the pressure being put on at the alien hive right now by that Exosuit flamethrower Marines. It is going to be one climactic end to this game. Even if the aliens fail here on their assault, a Gorge tunnel will ensure they have a quick path to the Marine base. And there's a whip in there to top it all off.
Oh, the alien assault is starting to squander here, and the Marines are trying to repair it. If this clock was closer, like instead of 4 minutes, it was like, you know, 1 minute and a half, the aliens would have won, because their hive was able to survive up to 67%, whereas that Marine chair almost died. That pulled the entire Marine offensive back, giving the aliens a little bit of breathing space. But again, near the end of the game, it's about timing, you know?
It's what we've been saying as well, that just because you'd failed your assault on this command chair and this specific attack, these Marines now have to weld it back up. And if you keep the pressure on, like these aliens have been able to do thus far, you'll have a much easier time come the end of the game, come overtime, completing your task of destroying that chair, because there is less total health to remove from it. Right now they have to go and defend that Gorge tunnel at end, exit subdeck before it is destroyed if they want to keep up the pressure like they have previously been doing. Oh, it's down.
Now the advantage is definitely favoring the Marines right now. Both hive and chair are about 50%. Oh, but if they're going to do another assault, maybe if they can keep the health down for the next, I think it's less than 2 minutes left until overtime. If the aliens can just get some damage or prevent them from repairing, the aliens will actually win this match. Unless, of course, there's Marines attacking the hive. There's not that big a deal. So we'll see. We'll see 70-80% left versus 100. It's gonna be damn close, I got to say.
But the Marines do have the advantage of that phase gate down there in EDS system, which if a Marine wanted to, he could just hop through that phase gate and shoot at that hive come overtime once, ending the game. So it's something that the aliens might want to consider here. They really need to take that phase gate down and kill these Marines. They want to win.
Oh, this is getting close.
And here's the disadvantage to having too many special life forms. These Oni cannot hit those Marines that are using jetpacks, which makes it tough. So it's not always a good idea to invest most, if not all, of your life forms into the most advanced technology out there. You're going to want a multitude of roles covered by your team to give you the best outcome.
Oh, Marines are winning by 6% health. 1 minute left.
How are the aliens going to respond to this?
Marines, the aliens look like they're trying to take down the phase gate first, so this is definitely going to be one of those last shot type of games.
Absolutely.
We've got Gorges trying to keep
those Gorges have got some serious work to do now.
Oh man, this
that
is
Exosuit's low health.
If
the Fade just needs to bypass that Exo and go straight for the chair. No need. Look at that Onos though in center map. If he can bypass the Marines here.
Don't forget your task. 20 seconds. This game is really close.
It's gonna come down to the wire. We've got lane blocking going on everywhere right now. We've got
You see
marine
the
assaults,
gorge?
we've got alien assaults.
The gorge at the north part of the map is building a gorge tunnel. Uh-oh, MV might hear it. No,
He's gonna
he
get
doesn't.
found.
They got a tunnel there. Oh, let's see.
We've got 5 seconds to
3
go
seconds,
before
2
overtime.
seconds. It's now overtime. Whichever one of these capture tech points take 1 point of damage. It might be the aliens. Will they shoot it?
I think the aliens are gonna do it!
Yeah,
Oh man, aliens have taken the victory here by mere moments.
That's
Oh,
good
man.
timing. Wow.